Welcome to the deep dive, where we kind of take a deep dive, into some fascinating source material that you've shared with us.
Hmm?
And today we're looking at what it takes to support the workforce behind the U.S. Department of Commerce,
The DOC?
the DOC.
Yeah,
You might not think HR is exciting, but trust me, this document outlining the requirements for their HR support services is more fascinating than you might think.
absolutely. This document is like a blueprint for keeping the DOC running.
Yeah.
We're talking about a massive workforce, over 45,000 employees,
Wow.
spread across 7 continents,
7 continents.
from economists to aircraft mechanics.
Okay, so this document is basically a performance work statement
Mhm.
for a contractor who would provide HR support.
Exactly. Think of it as a detailed plan for how to handle everything from recruiting and hiring to managing payroll and retirement benefits for this incredibly diverse workforce.
When I first saw Department of Commerce, I pictured people in suits, maybe crunching numbers,
Right.
but aircraft mechanics.
Right.
What are those folks doing for the DOC?
Well, the DOC's mission is much broader than many people realize.
Okay.
It includes things like promoting economic growth
Yeah.
and trade monitoring, weather patterns, and even issuing patents. That's why they need such a wide range of expertise.
I know, it makes a lot of sense. And this document highlights a surprising fact that almost half of the DOC employees are teleworkers outside the DC area.
It's a huge challenge for HR. Imagine trying to build a strong team when everyone's spread out across different time zones,
Yeah.
maybe even different continents.
I hadn't even considered that. It's like herding cats, but on a global scale.
Mm.
And then there's the Decennial Census.
Oh, yeah,
That must throw a real wrench in the works.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Every 10 years, the U.S. Census Bureau needs over 1 million temporary employees to conduct the census. That's more than 20 times their normal workforce.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine the logistical nightmare of managing all that?
That just boggles the mind.
Yeah,
So clearly HR plays a critical role at the DOC.
absolutely.
But this document doesn't sugarcoat things.
No.
It lays out some serious challenges that they're facing.
One of the biggest is high vacancy rates across the department. They're having trouble filling all those vital roles, which could really impact their effectiveness.
Right. It's not just filling a seat. It's about finding the right person with the right skills and experience.
Exactly. And the document also mentions the complexities of managing a mix of traditional GS employees, those under the general schedule pay system, and folks under alternative pay systems. That adds a whole other layer of complexity to managing things like compensation and benefits.
And we can't forget about all those teleworkers, which we already mentioned.
It really raises the question of how you effectively train, onboard, and support employees remotely, especially when you're dealing with such a diverse range of jobs and skill sets.
Yeah. Then on top of everything else, they're transitioning to a shared services model, centralizing some HR functions.
This is a common trend in large organizations. It can make things more efficient, but it also requires careful planning to avoid disrupting essential services during the transition.
It's like juggling chainsaws while riding a unicycle. Impressive but risky. This document goes beyond just listing these challenges. It dives into the nitty-gritty of what the contractor would actually do.
It's almost like a shopping list of HR tasks, but with incredibly high stakes. For instance, they need someone to handle delegated examining.
I'll admit when I saw that term, I thought, oh, sounds bureaucratic. But it's actually about streamlining the hiring process, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about giving hiring managers the power to make decisions quickly. No more waiting for a central HR office to process everything, especially when you have high vacancy rates, like the DOC time is of the essence.
So it's all about cutting through red tape to get people in the door faster.
Exactly. And then there's classification and position management, which sounds pretty straightforward.
But I'm guessing it's more complicated than just looking up job descriptions online.
You got it. The DOC has some pretty unique roles. Think about those cryptologists we mentioned earlier. You can't just search for cryptologists on a typical job site.
Right.
They need someone who understands the specific skills and expertise required for each role to ensure proper classification.
It seems like finding qualified people is a constant struggle. How are they supposed to recruit for all these specialized roles?
That's a huge part of this contract. They need someone who can go beyond just posting job openings online. They need to tap into professional networks, attend job fairs, and get creative in their approach to sourcing candidates.
And they need to attract people to government work, which might not always have the same appeal as a shiny tech startup.
It's definitely a challenge. But the document shows The DOC understands they need to step up their game when it comes to recruitment.
Speaking of challenges, there's also the issue of personnel security functions. I imagine that's critical, especially with all the sensitive information the DOC handles.
Absolutely. Background checks and security clearances are non-negotiable, especially with the kind of data the DOC works with.
It's all about protecting national security and economic interests, right?
Exactly. And it highlights another key aspect of the contractor's responsibility, making sure everyone handling sensitive information is vetted thoroughly.
Okay, so we've talked about finding the right people, but this document also emphasizes the importance of a good onboarding experience for new hires.
That's often overlooked.
Yeah.
But it's crucial to making sure new employees feel welcome and set up for success.
Especially with so many people working remotely.
Yeah.
A good onboarding program can really make a difference in building a strong team spirit, even if everyone's spread out across the country.
You're absolutely right. And of course, you can't forget about the nuts and bolts of HR payroll and personnel action reporting.
That's the stuff that keeps the lights on, right? Making sure everyone gets paid accurately and on time.
Precisely. And this document highlights the need for someone who can manage all that efficiently and accurately, especially with a complex mix of pay systems and a large number of remote workers.
And speaking of complexity, there's also the need for specialized support in managing federal retirement benefits.
That's another area where you need someone with deep expertise. It's not just about handing out brochures. It's about guiding employees through a complicated system and helping them make informed decisions about their future.
It's really amazing to see all these pieces fit together. It takes a village to support a massive organization like the DOC, and HR is definitely the glue that holds it all together.
It really makes you appreciate the behind-the-scenes work that goes into keeping everything running smoothly.
Right.
And we're just scratching the surface here.
You're right. There's so much more to explore in this document. Next time, we'll delve into how the DOC is using cutting-edge technology to tackle some of these HR challenges.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're uncovering all the hidden complexities of HR at the Department of Commerce.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. There's always something new and fascinating to discover.
Last time we talked about the massive scale and unique challenges they face in managing their workforce, from high vacancy rates to supporting a huge remote team.
And don't forget about the Decennial Census, a logistical feat unlike any other.
Right. But the document doesn't just dwell on the problems. It also hints at some really interesting solutions. And one thing that stood out to me was the use of technology, especially data analysis and artificial intelligence.
It's a game changer for HR. Think about it. Instead of relying on gut feelings or outdated methods, the DOC is embracing a data-driven approach.
So they're using data to figure out what skills they'll need in the future, where their biggest talent gaps are, how to improve their recruitment strategies.
Exactly. By analyzing data on employee demographics, skills performance, even things like attrition rates, they can identify trends and patterns that might not be obvious at first glance.
It's like having a crystal ball for HR.
Yeah.
They can anticipate future needs and get ahead of the curve.
Precisely. And the document specifically mentions using AI to streamline certain HR processes.
I can see how that would be helpful, especially with a workforce this large. What kind of things are we talking about?
Well, imagine using AI to screen resumes, schedule interviews, even answer basic employee questions. That frees up HR professionals to focus on more strategic tasks like workforce planning and talent development.
It's like having a virtual assistant for HR. But doesn't that raise concerns about potential bias? I mean, if an algorithm is making decisions about who gets hired or promoted.
That's a valid point. It's crucial to ensure that any AI used in HR is designed and implemented responsibly. Transparency, accountability, and ongoing monitoring are key to preventing unintended consequences.
So it's not just about plugging in a program and letting it run wild. You need human oversight to make sure it's being used ethically.
Absolutely. And remember, the DOC isn't just looking for someone to manage the day-to-day. They need a partner who can help them shape the future of their workforce.
That brings us to the qualifications outlined in the document. It's clear they're not messing around.
They're looking for top-notch expertise and a deep understanding of the federal HR landscape.
It specifically mentions extensive experience with federal regulations and procedures.
Which makes sense, given the complex legal framework governing federal employment. You can't just wing it in this environment.
And they need someone who can handle the complexities of a large and diverse workforce.
Right. Strong leadership communication and problem-solving skills are a must. They need someone who can navigate the challenges of managing different pay systems, supporting remote employees, and fostering a culture of inclusivity.
And let's not forget about that Public trust, moderate background investigation.
Ah, yes, that's a reminder that this is serious business. The contractor and their employees need to be vetted thoroughly to ensure they can handle sensitive information responsibly.
It's a lot to ask, but the DOC isn't settling for second best. They're looking for the best of the best.
It's a demanding role, but it also offers a chance to make a real impact. Think about it. You'd be helping to support the people who are driving economic growth, advancing science and technology, and protecting our nation's interests.
It's like being a behind-the-scenes superhero. You might not get the glory, but you're playing a critical role in supporting the mission.
Yeah. Exactly. So we've seen the challenges, the solutions, and the high bar set for the contractor.
But there's one more big question we need to address. What does all this mean for the future of work at the DOC?
That's where things get really interesting. Stay tuned as we wrap up this deep dive with a look ahead at what the future holds for the DOC and its dedicated workforce.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been exploring the fascinating world of human resources at the Department of Commerce, uncovering the challenges they face and the innovative approaches they're taking.
We've seen how they're grappling with a massive, diverse workforce spread across the globe.
Right.
Managing everything from recruitment and onboarding to payroll and retirement benefits.
And they're not afraid to embrace technology.
No.
Using data analysis and AI to make smarter decisions and streamline processes.
Absolutely.
But what does all this mean for the future of work within the DOC?
Right. That's the question we're tackling now.
It feels like we're on the verge of a major shift in how we think about work, not just in government, but across all sectors.
Absolutely. And this document offers some tantalizing clues about what that future might look like for the DOC.
One thing that struck me was the emphasis on telework. Nearly half of their employees are already remote, and it seems like that number is only going to grow.
It's a trend we're seeing everywhere. Technology has made it possible to work from anywhere, and the DOC seems to be embracing the possibilities.
It makes sense. Think about the talent pool they can tap into when they're not limited by geography.
Exactly. They can recruit the best and brightest regardless of location. And for employees, it offers greater flexibility and work-life balance.
But managing a remote workforce effectively presents its own set of challenges.
You're right. Communication, collaboration, and building trust become even more critical when you're not interacting face-to-face on a daily basis.
It requires a different leadership style, a different approach to teamwork.
And it highlights the need for robust technology platforms that enable seamless collaboration and communication regardless of location.
The document also pointed to the growing role of technology in HR itself, beyond just supporting remote work.
We talked about AI being used for things like recruitment and workforce planning, but I'm curious to see how those applications evolve in the coming years.
It makes you wonder what else they could use it for. Could we see virtual reality being used for employee training?
Oh, yeah.
AI-powered chatbots providing 247 support to employees.
The possibilities are exciting and a little bit daunting, too. It's like we're standing at the edge of a new frontier.
And the DOC seems to be embracing that uncertainty, which is refreshing.
They're not shying away from innovation, even if it means stepping outside their comfort zone.
Another theme that emerged from the document was the need for agility and adaptability in the workforce.
Right. They mentioned the cyclical fluctuations in employee population around the Decennial Census. Talk about needing to be flexible.
But even beyond that, the world is changing at an unprecedented pace. Trade policies shift, new technologies emerge. Global events can impact the DOC's priorities overnight.
So their employees need to be able to learn new skills quickly and adapt to new situations effectively.
It's not enough to just have a degree or a set of skills anymore. You need to be a lifelong learner, constantly evolving and expanding your knowledge base.
Exactly. And that requires a culture of continuous learning and development within the DOC. It's not just about training for a specific job. It's about fostering a mindset of growth and adaptability.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that the future of work at the DOC is full of possibilities and challenges.
They're navigating uncharted waters, but they seem to be doing so with a sense of purpose and a willingness to embrace innovation.
This document has given us a fascinating glimpse behind the curtain, revealing not just the mechanics of HR, but the human story at the heart of it all.
It's a reminder that even in a massive organization like the DOC, it's people who drive success, and supporting those people, nurturing their talents, and creating a workplace where they can thrive is essential to the DOC's mission.
It's been an eye-opening journey, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
There's always more to explore. But for now, we'll leave you with this thought. The future of work is being shaped right now, and it's up to all of us to be active participants in that process.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've gained some new insights and perhaps even a few questions of your own to ponder.